Mexican Americans, widely conceived of as recent immigrants, given in cities named Los Angeles, Albuquerque, and San Antonio, are actually members of a community which has existed continuously in the Southwest since long before 1848. Since the conquest, the community arguably has changed from a northern extension of Mexican society into distinct Chicano one, but its relationship to the major society has changed little. Chicanos have been defined as alien to the mainstream white society, as members viewed themselves as the bearers of a superior European civilization in America. Unlike any other group in the United States, Chicanos are at the same time an indigenous and an immigrant community comprised of descendants of both Mexicans who lived in the territories ceded to the U.S. in 1848 and Mexicans who crossed the border in later years. Chicanos came under United States authority through territorial conquest. Mexico's defeat at the hands of the U.S. invaders in the War of 1846 through 1848 left an estimated 60,000 Mexican citizens north of the new border in New Mexico alone. The War of 1846 through 1848 was justified in racial terms. Since that time, Chicanos have been considered a minority. The racial nature of anti-Mexican discrimination was examined thoroughly in a 1975 article by Gary Greenfield and Don Cates. The situation has not changed over the intervening decades. In the 20th century, Chicanos have continued to be defined as racially different from the majority. In California, numerous state studies describe Chicanos as part of a distinct race. Waves of immigration in the 20th century have not transformed the Mexican American community into a classic immigrant group enamored of American ideals and way of life. To the contrary, immigrants became part of the existing Mexican American community, emerging from the harsh realities of invasion and oppression. Brutal treatment of immigrants and those suspected of being immigrants in turn reminded Chicanos that they were racial minorities in a racist society and made adoption of Anglo culture and practices seem like an act of aggression against one's own community. The combination of increasing residential desegregation with the continued preference of Anglos to associate exclusively with each other means that Chicano community identification persists even after the individual Chicano has left the barrio. Even if one restricts the definition of assimilation to economic success on par with whites rather than cultural merger with the white mainstream, Chicanos still display no signs of assimilation. A recent study focused on third-plus generation Chicanos whose parents were also born in the United States, to determine the extent to which these persons had made progress toward economic. The disturbing conclusion of the study was that no such progress could be demonstrated in the areas of education, class distribution, and earnings.